Hey guys, Filmsuit here. So I just got back from Star Trek Into Darkness, and I will say, best movie so far in the summer of 2013. And I've only seen two. The premise is, takes place a year or so after the events of the first Star Trek movie that came out in 2009. And Spock and Kirk, they get kicked off the Enterprise in the beginning after disobeying direct orders during a big mission that gets their cover blown. And you can kind of tell who breaks the rules between Spock and Kirk. And but then they get reinstated on the ship in order to track down this rogue operative named John Harrison, who begins killing off Starfleet operatives and high commanding officers. And the mission becomes very personal for both Spock and Kirk along the way. So I'm going to leave it at that, just to not give any spoilers away. But yeah, let's dive right in. So, the 2009 Star Trek was one of my top 5 favorite movies of that year. And this one, while it's good, I think it's a very well done movie. And in some ways it's better than the first one, and other ways not so much. This is going to be more of an honorable mention of the year. So, the premise is, okay, I already went over the premise. What's great about this movie is that this movie is more about the characters than the 2009 one was. Yeah, sure, the 2009 one was an origin story, so obviously that one's supposed to be more about Spock and Kirk. I disagree. That one did focus a lot on them, but this one focuses more on why Kirk breaks the rules and what drives him to be a captain, and how Spock's quest for logic and answers about the future and how that'll help save the crew. And so it really focuses on it continues to focus their development and also their friendship with each other. And besides that, it also focuses more on the crew, not so much on Sulu or Chekhov, but we get a lot more interaction from Zoe Saldana's Uhura, Carl Urban's Bones, and Simon Pegg's Scotty. And both Pegg and Urban, they steal almost every scene they're in together. And they focus more on them and give them much more to do compared to the 2009 film. And also, new additions to the cast, there's Alice Eve, this blonde Australian actress from other TV shows. She plays a new officer and potential love interest for Kirk, and we get to know her a bit as the mission for her becomes very personal for different reasons, without going into spoilers. And we also get Benedict Cumberbatch from Sherlock as the main villain, John Harrison. And, he steals this movie and just makes it, he makes it great. His character is by far one of the coolest sci-fi villains of recent memory. And, every scene he's in, he gives these very dark and philosophical monologues with his deep and commanding voice. And just to let you know, folks, that's his actual voice. That is not voice work at all. So, he gives these very commanding, nihilistic monologues throughout the film, and when he's not doing that, he's just kicking everyone's asses left and right, just taking people out. And then when you find out his motives, that's when the movie becomes more of a rehash of both a particular episode from the original 60 series and a particular film. And let's just say, in some ways, it kind of rehashes scenes and scenarios and plot development from a particular Star Trek movie. Yeah, we'll leave it at that. But also, with that said, as much as I love John Harrison in this film, it's not really an original villain. He is, let's see here. He's not original at all, because his motives and his monologues and just how invincible he is and his interactions, while they are great, and we see and we feel intimidated by him, it's very reminiscent of some more diabolical villains who have appeared in cinema in the last 5 years, like Heath Ledger's Joker, Tom Hardy's Bane, Javier Bardem's Silva. We get it kind of rehashes their some of their iconic moments in the form of this character. And with that said, I kind of want to move into some of the negative aspects of this movie a bit. This movie's tone is a little uneven at times. Like, at times, this is one of the darkest one of the darkest science fiction films that we're supposed to be watching, especially for a Star Trek movie. But then at times it gets very cheesy and funny. Like it just kind of goes on with jokes, like the 1960s series did, and also it's a bit of an overkill on inside references, especially one particular one where Spock should not be yelling a certain character's name as a nod to William Shatner. Just saying. And so yeah, it kind of overkills on references to the original series, and it also does what some sequels do. That's kind of a pet peeve of mine with sequels. Is it's like what Toy Story 2 did with Toy Story 1. Like Toy Story 2, it was just the cast having a good time, and they were making jokes the entire time about what happened in the first one. And it's kind of, they also did that with Lethal Weapon 3, just joking nonstop about 1 and 2. This one just jokes nonstop about the first movie and its previous adventures from the TV series. And so it doesn't really stand on its own without referencing the other installments and being self-aware of what it is. But with that said, it's pretty forgivable and it is redeemable due to story and plot development between Spock and Kirk. The visual effects are beautiful. Rather than getting blinded by lens flare from various shots of different planets and the sun, we actually get some really cool landscape visual effects shots of the futuristic London and a futuristic San Francisco that's very reminiscent of, if you're going to correct my grammar, very reminiscent of other movies such as Blade Runner, Looper, and any other dystopian sci-fi movie you could think of that had a beautiful futuristic city. And so yeah, great CGI, great action, great performances. Storyline, like I said, little too self-aware at times. Oh, and another thing is that some fanboys will probably love this, but others will probably roll their eyes and think, really? So the 2009 movie opens up with a bang. Like, the introduction is just a scene that had everyone on the edge of their seats and had some people crying, like my stepmom. And but at the same time, it was just one of the best opening sequences ever. Now, the opening sequence of this one, why in the hell did they want to remake the opening scene from Raiders of the Lost Ark? And on top of that, the closing scene, also reminiscent of Raiders of the Lost Ark's closing scene. So in some ways, yeah, to sum it up, it's a great movie, it's a fun time, but it is definitely a reboot / rehash of the following: Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, the original 1960 Star Trek series, 2009 Star Trek movie, and Raiders of the Lost Ark. So, I recommend it. It's a fun movie, so definitely go see it. My next review will be The Hangover Part 3. This is definitely the month to review sequels, I have figured out. So yeah, I'm going to continue that with The Hangover Part 3, and you can follow me on Twitter at Filmsuit.